What is the biggest plot hole you have ever seen? In X-Men, Xavier can't track Magneto because of his helmet, but he knows Sabretooth is there with him. So why not just track him? This is actually pretty good. I haven't thought about that yet. If I remember correctly, he even mind controls Sabretooth briefly. I love Batman Beyond: Return of the Joker. It's a great movie. However, there's one plot point that always bugs me. The Joker is back, and Batman/Terry McGinnis is trying to track him down. He thinks the old Robin, Tim Drake, is working with Joker, so he goes to where Tim works. It turns out to be a trap, and a video of Joker confirms that Tim is in his employ. Batman escapes the trap, of course, and goes back to his Batmobile. Once there, he asks the computer to find the location of the Jolly Jack candy factory because that's where the Joker is hiding. Except, Batman never found anything that told him that fact. He just happens to know at the right time. They cold solved this easily with a Jolly Jack sign behind Joker in the video or something. Instead, it's just we need Batman to go to the Joker so he now knows where the idiot is. Apostrophe. I love Batman Beyond. It's one of those series I wish they'd revisit. But I also really don't want them to. They'd probably screw it up. I don't remember the title, but it was a TV show, maybe Brazilian, in the early 2000s. In a scene, some people were having a business meeting on a flying private jet. When they were done, one of the guys stood up, and he was like, "Well, I have to be somewhere else. I gotta go," and he stood up and walked out of the scene. He was probably just the pilot, had to get back to work. In The Butterfly Effect, the entire premise and point of the movie was that tiny changes in the past can drastically change the future. Yet, while in jail, the main character went back in time to stab his hands, so that he would have the stigmata on his hands to scare someone. This made zero sense in the context of the movie, and was a complete ass pull that went against the entire rest of the movie. I hated that part. Every time he changed something, he woke up different, and everyone knew that the shit was already the way it now was, but that one time, his hands changed for super religious dude to see. Yeah, okay. I don't get how it slipped past the writers. It's a scene that clearly breaks every rule established in your movie. How do you let it make it to the final product? Fallout 3 before DLC. Having to die instead of having your super mutant friend handle the massive radiation. Hey super mutant immune to radiation. Can you please push this button for me? I may die in the process, you fucking coward. Thank you, Todd. The Little Mermaid. Ariel can write. She could have just wrote it down for Eric. No miming involved. In the volleyball scene in Top Gun, Maverick is the one who has to cut the game short, but Goose is the one who is ridiculed by Iceman. That bastard. Hopefully Maverick is able to defend Goose's honor in the new one. I've only seen it once, so maybe I'm way off. But in Suicide Squad, wasn't the whole plan to get all those fools out of lockup? You go, do some big helpful things / help win wars or whatever. Then it got all jammed up when they had to fight the other whackers that got released. Then after it's all done, they just toss them back in the clink without ever having done what they originally brought them out to do. / What am I going to do? Get a bunch of criminals together to fight criminals? That's a stupid idea. / Lego Batman. How did Isma and Krant get back to the lab before Cusco and Patcher? By all accounts, it doesn't make sense. Everything about Ant-Man. He conserves mass when he is small and punching and falling, but not at any other times. When he is huge, he should hit like styrofoam. When he is small, he should still crush ants. I've heard people say that Pym particles in the MCU is just Hank Pym accidentally tapping into the Doctor Strange magic stuff. Would certainly explain all the physics-defying stuff. Edit. According to this theory, Pym also doesn't know that it's magic. In Avatar they can control biological organisms from a distance, but not one military vehicle is controlled via remote. Like we have drones now, but the signal don't work in space. James Cameron probably. How did Mater figure out that Miles askReddit was behind the crashes in the world Grand Prix in Cars 2? Bolt types, leaking oil, and an assumption of an engine? Don't cut it for me. I need more details. Mater didn't have an argument that would hold up in court. Just an extreme suspicion. But being the good old country truck he was, that suspicion was enough for him. Plus he had a bomb strapped to his face. So it's not like he had time to look for more incriminating clues. All Dumbledore had to do was get the Ministry to check Sirius Black's memories and they would have known he was innocent. Especially since at that time he had a lot of influence in the Ministry. It was said by Hagrid in the first book that people had been wanting Dumbledore to be minister for a while. The Ministry wasn't interested in justice. They were interested in saying they captured someone and having a boogeyman to blame things on. Why doesn't Harry Potter use his magic to cure his eyes so he doesn't have to wear glasses? Why does he try and grab a letter out of the air instead of one of the hundreds on the ground? He's not the brightest, which is a shame because his parents were extremely bright and talented. In Monsters Incorporated, Mike told Sully, "You've been jealous of my good looks since the 4th grade, pal." But in Monsters University it shows them meeting for the first time. In college. How did Cypher get in and out of the Matrix to meet with the agent on his own? That's a good one. But he was an operator and could have left himself an open ringing phone. They only didn't do that all the time as the agents then know where it is. Not a problem for him, course. The bigger plot hole is why no one saw him do it in the chair in the ship. Me looking completely different than everyone in my family and having no baby pictures until age 3. So they had you take the family pictures until you were 3. Slow down, Sherlock. How SpongeBob managed to have his own home with a garden, a massive library, sunroof and other extremities and still manage to afford boating school given that Mr. Krabs is extremely stingy. SpongeBob is the secret to Mr. Krabs' success and is the only one who can produce the main product in a sufficient quality. He can demand everything from Mr. Krabs. The 2009 Star Trek reboot, Romulan that traveled back in time over a century, is angry that the Federation/Spock took too long to save Romulus from a supernova in the future. All he needed to do to fix the problem is be like, "Hey guys, this thing goes nova 120 plus years from now. Better get a head start." Second in the same film is Kirk ending up marooned on an ice world. Not only does this planet just happen to have old Spock also on it, but he lands within hiking distance from him and randomly finds him out of an entire planet. Second in the same film is Kirk ending up marooned on an ice world. Not only does this planet just happen to have old Spock also on it, but he lands within hiking distance from him and randomly finds him out of an entire planet. That's not even close to the worst plot hole in that scene. The real plot hole is why starships exist at all. Kirk finds Scotty and has him beam him onto the Enterprise currently traveling at warp 3. Scotty acts like that would be incredibly hard to do because of the difficulty hitting a moving target that's going that fast. But the real thing that should be concerning is the fact that at warp 3 the Enterprise was well outside of beaming range before Kirk could even finish asking to be beamed there. In order to get Kirk aboard that ship, he had to have been beamed with pinpoint accuracy across a mind-bogglingly long distance. At that point, there is no reason for ships of any kind to exist, because you could just teleport wherever the hell you wanted. Mulan. What happens when people failed to pass the physical tests? They got sent home. So what would have happened to her father? He would have been sent home. I always assumed that her father would have been placed into some kind of officer role, since I think he was a veteran. So if they need one male from each family, would make sense that the older veterans would get some kind of officer/training role and be exempt from the physical tests. Palpatine doesn't die and somehow gets a fleet of 1,000 Star Destroyers. I was going to say this. If Palpatine didn't die, how did Anakin before fulfilling the Chosen One prophecy? What was the New Republic and what happened to the New Jedi Order? Neither were depicted. If they could fit the Death Star technology on a Star Destroyer, what was the point of building the Death Star in the first place? Who was Palpatine's son and who did he fuck? Palpatine and his son both got laid. In the movie for Siaf, Nicolas Cage escapes from a prison that is on an oil rig in the middle of the ocean. Yet they never show you how he gets away from the oil rig. Only that he jumps off the rig and the next scene he is on land, in a new set of clothing. Is that really the biggest plot hole in for Siaf though? You shut your damn mouth. That movie is 100% realistic. Jaskier not aging or changing his clothes in 22 years. True. But Jaskier is the narrator of Geralt's story. He uses that to display that he's young. Even in The Witcher 3 he's older. Overused makeup and bright clothing to make himself seem younger. He's egotistical.